Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Brendan and welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, it's great to have you, and today get ready for a roller coaster of a video because we need to talk about precious metals. Now specifically, we're going to be talking about gold and silver because silver is up almost 100% in the last 4 months. It's broken through major resistance and now it's at the highest point that it's been in almost 4 years. Now gold, on the other hand, is getting ready to hit all-time highs, and it's at the highest point that it's been in almost 8 years. So these things have been incredibly volatile assets over the course of 2020, whether that's to the downside or the upside. We're going to be breaking this down and talking about where the limit is on this, because with the gold to silver ratio still being so skewed and with gold looking like it wants to break all-time highs, I mean, this kind of volatility could very, very well continue. Now, I want to talk about targets and what I think could happen over here because it is going to be a crazy time one way or another. So I want to go ahead and break that down just sheerly off of what the candle chart has to say. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into what we have to talk about here. So first things first, let's talk about this silver chart because this silver chart is insane. Let's look at this on a weekly because I want to show this and the overall macro trend that this guy has been in because it's been beautiful. Now, silver, of course, very, very nice uptrend. And I'll go ahead and highlight this right in here. We can see that it's been bouncing off of this area. We can see that for the most part, we have continued to hold this area up until the end of March. Now, when the end of March came around, we actually saw us break this resistance line and even our secondary smaller resistance line. Now, what this was followed by can only be described as Bitcoin-like volatility and volume coming into a precious metal like silver. Now, something very similar happened to gold, but when this came in, there was such a tremendous amount of buyers on the side of silver that the spreads, I don't know if you guys remember, these spreads on virtual versus physical silver was ridiculous. The premiums went through the roof. The spreads were like over $10 apart. I mean, it was insane. So with this starting to level back out, and I guess, silver continued to just absolutely go parabolic here. I think we're at the 7th or 8th green week in a row for silver. Again, just tremendous. Of course, we see the golden cross on a weekly time scale. We're going to see the exact same thing no matter pretty much what time scale we go to. 3-day golden cross, 1-day golden cross. And this guy's looking like it's almost in the clear. Again, a little bit of resistance if we want to go back to this 3-day chart. A little bit of resistance right on over here on silver. And it's just below this last threshold that it needs to break. But if it can break through this price up at like $20, then, $20, $21, the next resistance that it realistically has is like way up here. Now, it will have like little bits of resistance after that, but I don't see the next significant resistance until like $26, $27. Up in here, you're going to have some more resistance. If it breaks that, I mean, this thing's going straight to almost $35 after that, in my opinion. Silver has a lot of room to be extremely volatile here. It has been overly suppressed. We know this. We've talked about it. I made a video talking about why the precious metals market was such an undervalued market a couple months ago. I'll go ahead and, again, link that right over in here. I'll show a picture of that, and I'll have a link to it in the description down below. But the precious metals market was something that was extremely obvious, in my opinion. You could see the spreads. You could see the value. Gold and silver, they're not going anywhere. It's not a low market cap stock, or it's not some altcoin in cryptocurrency. This is a physical asset that we use for a lot, whether that be electrical purposes, solar panels, maybe it's just jewelry, whatever it may be. We use these precious metals all the time. We use them for everyday life, and they are now a huge part of our society. So with them being so undervalued, again, it was just fairly evident that these guys were squeezing and getting ready to explode towards the upside instead of imploding towards the downside, because there was a lot of people talking about how silver was getting ready to implode or gold was getting ready to implode. It's just not going to happen. They're such a part of the society now that they, when they get down to like historically low points that they haven't been in 5, 10, 15 years, that's when I think the buying opportunities are. And again, I think that's what it is. Now, silver is extremely far away from its all-time high. I'm sure most of you guys remember back in the 2008 crash, silver went up to nearly $50. I mean, it was crazy. And now gold is up, and we'll go ahead and look at the gold chart as well in just a second. I mean, gold's getting ready to, looks like it wants to go and tap that $2,000 mark. So we'll go ahead and check that guy out in just a second, but I want to finish up talking about these trend lines. I almost said Bitcoin. It looks like a Bitcoin chart. It really does. But the silver chart has broken through almost every single bit of resistance. It held its support for the most part, had an extremely large amount of buyers, which again, I think you cannot take lightly. You can't look at that with a grain of salt. And, this is such a bullish sign for me. If silver can break here, I think that things are going to get even more volatile than they already are. So buckle up your seatbelts. If resistance continues to break, then this is going to look like the norm. If not, we could very easily come see a retest of support. I mean, we have support back down at $18. I think we're in for a ride either way, and I think that this is going to be an extremely volatile year for silver and arguably even gold as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this gold chart. So with gold right now, gold broke, one of the largest resistance that it's ever had in its history. It's broken all of them pretty much. We saw this triple top up here on gold, the first one, and then the second one, and now our third one. I mean, it's just absolutely torn through that today. Like it was nothing. This week and last week, nothing but green 3-day candles. And it's almost not even phased. So that begs the question: what's going to happen at this all-time high of 1900? Only time's going to tell. So, personally, I think that these markets are looking incredibly strong. We've seen what happened when it does this before. Gold and silver, I don't want to say very similar, but in a similar way, they have market cycles. And they tend to just kind of go through a process, repeat the process, and then just continue moving. Again, there's just intrinsic value of them. There's supply and demand. There's a set supply of how much gold and silver are actually on the earth for the most part. So with gold ripping up here and getting ready to touch this all-time high, I don't see any reason that it can't touch the all-time high at this point. There's nothing in between it and the all-time high. Shorts have gotten absolutely destroyed for a couple years now for the most part. And it's been on an even more bullish track than silver. Now, the key about this is with gold breaking out so heavily and gold continuing to be so parabolic, silver has to a degree, has to follow it. That gold to silver ratio is just going to grow increasingly larger the more that gold tends to move more than silver. So if gold continues to move 4% and silver continues to move 3% up, then you're going to have this increased spread in that gold to silver ratio. And again, I think that that's something that is going to eventually catch up. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a 1-to-1 ratio. That would be ridiculously absurd. But we know that, silver or gold, the gold silver correlation has a standard of a happy medium where it likes to float around about, and we're very far from that. Again, I've talked about that a lot in my past videos. If you guys want to go see one of those for reference points. But we are at such a critical and crucial point where if gold breaks here, there's no more technical analysis after 1900, right? Because we have psychological resistance at 2000 right up in here, which isn't that far away. It's about less than $200. And if that breaks, I mean, what do we have? Then all we have is psychological resistance at this point. Now, the reason why I'm saying all this, I'm not trying to create FOMO. I'm not trying to just get you to panic. I'm not a legal, financial, or tax advisor in any way. But when I'm looking at this, I think that, silver is still arguably, I think, a better buy than gold. Gold's at all-time high resistance. No matter what I'm trading, I never tell people, I never buy anything at the all-time high. There's just no reason to. Especially when it's had weeks of no red. I'm not buying that asset. I'm not FOMOing in. The time to buy was when, it dumps or when it's extremely red. When there's blood in the waters, that's when I would like to get into these things. And that's what I did. I was buying up silver a couple of months ago. And, the rewards are self-explanatory. So let's talk a little bit about where I guess the future of this could be. So if gold wants to kind of retrace in here, the number one spot that I think it's going to retrace to is right around this $1,500, $1,600 level. Now, this level makes a ton of sense. There's actually two levels. There's the first one that's right in here, and then the second one that's going to be a little bit further down around $1,300 to $1,400, right in here. So let's talk about the first one. The first one we have we can delete this. We have support, Then we fell down. What was previous support was now used as resistance over in here. And then we saw the rejection and then, of course, the breakthrough. So what we have is a great trend line right in here. What was formerly support turned resistance, turns back into support. Now, if we want to fall over here, what we have is a great resistance level. We can see the rejections, continuous rejections from this gold chart, just time and time again over the course of like 5 years. All the way from like 2014 to 15, 16, 17, 18, with our last rejection being in 2019. If gold really does want to fall all the way back down here, which I think is very unlikely at this point, it would still set a higher swing low for the time being. And, it'd just be another great technical place that it could bounce off of. Now, I think that that's a lot of what I wanted to talk to. I actually have a couple of articles talking about this. Gold and silver gained silver powers to 4-year peak on Monday, of course, being today. Now, this was published just after noon, and it says it all. I mean, it's just something that we have been waiting for, and I'm just extremely excited for. So sorry if I rant a little bit. It's just extremely exciting times with silver getting back up to $20. Because it's been a while. So thank you guys, I guess, so much for watching. There's not too much that I have to talk about. I'm just kind of scrolling through this and giving off my thoughts as I'm going through this. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to be able to answer those in the comment section down below. I'll have links to a lot of stuff in the description if you guys want to join my Discord community. It's just kind of where my community resides and talks about these kinds of things. I'll have a link to that in the description down below. It's completely free, no strings attached, and I will flash that up right after the video has ended. So once again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.